Andy Farrell's Ireland squad for the Six Nations is out. It's been out for a little while now. I've had a look through it. It's an interesting one. He's named a fair few new names. Some of these guys you might have to kind of give me a bit of insight into. Some of them I'm pretty familiar with, others not as much. And it's an interesting one because he's split the squad between the main squad, and then there's four development players he's named there as well. I've got a list of players who you could consider kind of unlucky. Some are kind of the old hands, other guys who've not quite managed to make it through. You guys can let me know your thoughts there as well. The injury list that I could think of and that I could find online is pretty much like Joey Carberry's the main one. But yeah, if there are other guys who weren't available due to injury, do let me know there as well. So I'll go through the names of the squad, talk a little bit briefly about the fixtures, who I'm kind of looking forward to seeing. And yeah, I mean, it's like when I did the Wales video yesterday, it's pretty fascinating just with, Warren Gatland at Wales, Joe Schmidt at Ireland, both pretty long reigns and successful. So how their successes follow up, both of them, Pivac and Andy Farrell at Ireland, pretty big shoes to fill. So very, very interesting times. So the Irish squad, props, Furlong, Healy, Kilcoyne, McGrath, O'Toole and Porter. O'Toole is the only guy who is uncapped. All the other guys, I mean, Andrew Porter is the least capped with 23, which is a pretty solid number of caps to be fair. So I think you'd look at that and be pretty satisfied. I mean, Tyke Furlong and his potatoes, one of my favorite players in the world, and he just looked at the end of last year to be kind of getting back to that level for Ireland as well. So yeah, pretty pumped. Interesting. Cian Healy's only a few caps away from a magic 100. But yeah, Tom O'Toole, I've probably seen him play, but I can't recall that much about him. So do let me know your guys' thoughts there. Now the hooker one is an interesting one because I was saying how the props are pretty experienced. The hookers not so much. You got Dave Heffernan from Connacht with 1 cap, Rob Herring from Ulster with 8 caps, and Ronan Kelleher with no caps from Leinster. Although there's been a lot of talk about Kelleher among Ireland fans and some of you guys talking to me about him on the channel. So that's an interesting one that he gets the nod ahead of like Sean Cronin. There's no room for Scannell either. So I mean, with Rory Best retiring, there was always going to be a huge gap in terms of experience. But yeah, that is pretty light on at least international level experience. So I saw there was an interview with Heffernan that he basically said he thinks the number 2 jersey is legit up for grabs. So we'll see which guy really puts his hand up to fill those big boots of Rory Best. Second row, Delane, Henderson, Ryan, and Toner. That is a pretty bloody good set of locks, to be fair. Toner with his massive height, James Ryan with that unbelievable work rate. He's just everywhere. Henderson for Ulster has been immense as well, and Delane is probably the least fancied of those guys, but still a bloody good player in his own right. So I think second row is pretty well sorted, and then you get your Lucy's, Deegan, Doris, O'Donoghue, Amani, Stander, and Van der Fleer. Deegan and Doris, your two uncapped guys there. Again, other guys who there's been a bit of talk about in terms of young guys coming through at Leinster. Amani's got 64 caps. He's a wealth of experience. Stander has only got 38. I say only 38. But he's kind of one of the veterans as well. And Van der Fleer has actually got his way up to 23 caps, which is impressive for a guy who's another one who probably gets a little bit underrated, especially with some of the other guys that have been around the squad. But he's always been there, that 7 jersey, filling in pretty well. So I'm interested to see how Deegan and Doris go. I'll take any insights from you guys as well. O'Donoghue for Munster, 2 caps. It's good to see him in the squad too. So Of course, there are other guys who have missed out there as well. I mean, Reece Ruddock, Geordie Murphy. So there's always going to be guys who miss out. But yeah, it was an interesting one that he goes with two uncapped guys there. Into the backs, Cooney, McGrath, and Murray. Again, that's a ton of depth at 9 because, I mean, Murray, 78 caps. In his peak, probably the best number 9 in the world. Not sure you would argue he's there at the minute, but he's world class when he's on fire. Luke McGrath's been running the show well at Leinster, but Cooney, in terms of the man in form, he is your guy. So how the lineups go in terms of picking your standard guys based on reputation or mixing the squad up and giving some of the other guys a shot. Cooney's got 8 caps, but man, he has just been try-scoring, goal-kicking, playmaking form. So on form, I think he's your guy, but we will see. Who's going to fill in the 10 jersey? Well, Johnny Sexton's captain, 88 caps, so he's probably your guy. Ross Byrne's been filling in pretty well at Leinster as well when he's been injured as Sexton. So, 3 caps for Ross Byrne. And then Billy Burns gets his call-up as an interesting one. I didn't know he had Irish, is it a parent or grandparent? So cool for him. I've seen him play Ulster. Him and Cooney are a pretty awesome combo. So again, how they rotate things around is going to be one to watch. The midfielders and outside backs, so Addison, Aki, Farrell, Henshaw, Ringrose, Conway, Earls, Dave Carney, Lama, and Stockdale. So none of those guys, I mean, Earls is your experienced guy with 82 caps. I think, I mean, in the midfield, Ringrose has been in phenomenal form for Leinster. In terms of last year, Conway is probably my favourite Irish winger. I know Dave Carney has scored a fair few tries in Leinster's blue as well this year, but Conway has been pretty phenomenal. There's certainly lots of options at midfield, so yeah, I am pretty curious to see how Andy Farrell lines these guys up. I hope at least one of these games you get to see, like, you know, the Cooney and Burns combo, hopefully with Stockdale in there as well in that same lineup, because those Ulster guys this year have been very impressive. The 4 guys who are in the development area of the squad, so perhaps not getting a game, but at least training with the squad. Well, I think they're in Portugal. Ryan Baird, Robert Balakoon, Harry Byrne, and Will Connors. Of those guys, the main one I've seen playing is Balakoon for Ulster. He looks like a good player. He's only 22 years old, so he's still got a bit of time to develop for sure. So yeah, I'm not sure if it's just getting them in the squad and getting them kind of things to work on. I mean, the All Blacks do similar things with some of their guys they think have got potential. So I think it's a wise move from Coach Andy Farrell. Some surprises, the guys that miss out. I mean, Rob Kearney, I'm kind of not that surprised at his age. Maybe it's time for him to... I wasn't actually sure if he'd called time on his international career or not. It may have kind of been called for him at this point. Kieran Marmion. I know there's a ton of depth at 9, and Cooney playing as well as he is has probably put him out of a job, but Marmion, when he's been fit and been playing, he has been one of the best 9s around as well. Tyg Byrne, that guy is immense at the breakdown, so he certainly adds something when he is playing. I don't think he played in the last kind of Champions Cup games. Has he been injured? Jean Klein as well. There was a bit of debate about him at the World Cup when he got selected and Devon Toner didn't, so this time it's the other way around. John Ryan, maybe Stuart McCloskey. That guy, from what I've seen playing for Ulster, he's been in bloody good form. So, yeah, it's tough. Coach's job is an unenviable one. I think he's done a pretty admirable job, though. He's picked a good balance of some experienced guys, some guys who've had a taste but never really cemented their spots, and some legit new guys to the squad. So they'll get to spend some time with the coaching staff. They'll get instructions on what they need to improve and what they need to look out for. If they follow it, we may see some guys push out some of the older guys for some spots. If they don't, they ain't going to get any games. So it is going to be a fascinating one to watch. I did read that Jack Carty seems to be on some kind of rest period. That's why he wasn't eligible. It seems strange that if Carberry's not there, I assumed Carty would be going in, but I did read that he's on some stand-down period, which is pretty awful timing for him if that's the case. Someone will have to educate me on that. I did have a quick read, but that's what I took from it, but wasn't entirely sure. In terms of the makeup of the squad, you got 16 guys from Leinster, 8 from Ulster, 8 from Munster, and 3 from Connacht. So I think that's probably a reflection on Ulster's good form this year. Leinster are on a hell of a run as well in all competitions. So yeah, it's an interesting makeup. In terms of the fixtures list, 2 home games to start with Scotland and then Wales. Away to England is going to be arguably on paper the biggest test because Wales have changed their coach as well. So on paper those guys maybe are still settling in, whereas England have got a bit of stability there with Eddie staying on. Home to Italy. That's probably the game I would expect to see kind of wholesale changes. I'd be surprised if we're seeing Sexton and whatnot playing in that one. I would like to see a bit of variety, but you do never know. And then away to France could be tougher than you might think. With Sean Edwards taking over there as defence coach. The French have got a new coach as well, so we may see a bit of a revival in that French squad if they can get anywhere near the potential. A trip over there could be a tough one, but yeah, they'll be expecting to win those first 2 home games for sure. If they drop one of those 2 home games, then everything becomes a lot more difficult. But yeah, 2 wins to start off with. If that can be done, then that game against England is gonna be huge. So yeah, it should be good times, guys. You guys let me know your thoughts on the squad. How do you think these guys are going to go? Who are you most excited to seeing play? Anybody in the squad you think maybe is a bit fortunate? Maybe some guys in there a bit more on reputation than on current form? But yeah, new era for Irish rugby. We'll see how Farrell goes in the top job. But yeah, good luck to them. Do you guys have any thoughts? Talk to you again soon. See you later. If you guys are looking to get your hands on any kind of cut price or off-season Ireland gear, England Rugby Store has still got a fair bit in stock, including like the 2018 jersey, the Bosphorus jersey, the World Cup jersey. There's all kinds of stuff there at England Rugby Store. Hats, rugby balls, all kinds of stuff. Check out the link in the description. Use the code 2cents10 at the checkout for an additional 10% off, guys. Cheers.